Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now you've all seen me use this stuff before. It's Milliput, which is an epoxy putty. You can use it to help fill cracks or do inlays, and it's wonderful and easy to use. But now I've got something better. Milliput announced a couple of days ago that they've just released this new metallic Milliput. So I got in touch with them, said where can I buy it? They said well it'll be in the shops the next few weeks, but if you want we'll send you a couple of packets so you can give it a go. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So out with the old and in with the new. Now we're going to do an inlay on this nice piece of cherry. I've had this for probably a couple of years. I don't do an awful lot of blank turning like this. I prefer to go for natural pieces, but this is an ideal base for us to try the new Milliput metallic. Now with regards to this piece of wood, we've got a great big piece of bark still on the piece there. On this side we've got a small bit missing, so that's the less of the two evils. So this is going to be the top, this is going to be the bottom, so we'll put a worm screw hole in here and get it on the lathe. Okay, nice and safely on the lathe, tailstock at the start to keep us safe. We can start turning at about 650 RPM. I've sharpened up my bowl gouge. So initially, we're just going to get this balanced, flatten off the base, and then we'll start thinking about a design. Okay, that's the bark on the side that we've got to get rid of, and that's the knot on the top again, which has got to go. Looks like we've had two piths in this piece. It's obviously a crotch area, so it is looking pretty nice. Right, well, first of all, we'll do what we've got to do. So we need to remove this area here. So let's just start putting the curve in. Okay, right, that's just about gone. Oh look, I've got an opportunity. What was known as a hole. Look how deep that is. It's a reasonable hole. That may be the first task for our new Milliput. Let's carry on. Right, so we've taken away that issue. The second one was this knot on the top. So do we take in this curve so it's flat up with that, or do we angle it in? That would be unusual. Let's angle it in a bit. If we don't like it, then we can always go to the other idea. Okay, so that's an angle put in there to get rid of that problem we've got on the top. And I really quite like that profile. I've got a small rim here, which I think I might leave. But that's quite elegant. Now, one thing I did notice, where is it? Right, where the knot was, we've got two little cracks there. So I could go in further and take those out, but I think I'll leave them for the moment because again, it's an opportunity for us to try out the Milliput. Right, so next stage, I'm going to continue this curve around here. We're going to create an area for a foot and then put a recess in. It's all going well. What's going to happen? Okay, excellent. That's a nice foot created, I like that. I think I might need to do a resharpen and do another quick pass on this because we've got a little bit of tear out there on the grain. So I'll quickly do that. I'll go and sharpen up, sort that, and then put the recess in. That looks an absolute treat. Brilliant. Right, now the recess. Okay, before we start to sand, we need to fill our little hole here. So I'm going to get out the Milliput and we'll give it a first go. Okay, so as I mentioned at the start, Milliput is a two-part epoxy putty. Now when it's mixed together, it hardens so you can turn it, sand it, mill it, do anything with it. And this new one is a metallic one, which I'm absolutely dying to try. I'm just going to break off equal parts. This is the hardener and this is the colour. We've got equal parts of those two and we're going to mix them together. But first of all, I'm going to put some gloves on. Just a case of squishing it and rolling it and squishing it and twisting it until it's all one consistent colour. Okay, when we're all thoroughly mixed, just going to break off little pieces and push it into the hole. I've got a small dental tamping tool to help me push it in. Just keep going until you feel that it's pretty well packed. Like that. Right, while I've got this in my hand, there's a couple of cracks on the edges. I'm just going to rub this into them. This stuff sticks incredibly well. I don't need to worry about the crack over the top because we are going to be turning that back. If it needs a bit more filling, then fair enough, we can do it then. There's a small hairline there. Just rub it into there as well. Right, excellent. Anything else to fill? Nothing. Okay, right. I'm going to leave this to dry for a few hours, then we'll come back and start sanding. sanding was nice and straightforward. So I'll just give this a wipe down now with isopropyl alcohol to clean out the grooves and take a first look at this quite stunning grain. I can't believe I've been sitting on this blank for nearly 2 years. Look at that. It's gorgeous. The ripples. Okay, right, we'll let this evaporate and then go on with a sealer, I think. Okay, that's all nice and dry. So I'm going to go on with a shellac sealer. And when this has had a chance to dry, we're going to cut it back with an abrasive paste. Okay, right, we'll let that dry off and then come back with an abrasive paste. Okay, that sealer has had a chance to dry. I don't know if you've noticed, but this piece of wood has a heavier, one side heavier than the other. That's because these two pith areas, there's obviously been some sort of crotch forming. That wood's a lot denser there, so makes it slightly off balance. Right, we'll get the abrasive paste on. I'm going to be wearing a face shield as I'm buffing this in, because I do not want to get any of this grit in my eyes. Just a pair of safety glasses would be fine, but as I don't have any to hand, I'm going to shove the face shield back on. Now we need to make sure that we've got all the grit off it, so we don't want to leave any of the fine grit on the surface when we put a polish on, so we're just cleaning it off again with isopropyl alcohol. Let that evaporate. Okay, that's a chance to dry, so now we're going to go over with a wax finish, and this is one of those waxes I made up absolutely years ago. It's beeswax, carnauba wax and microcrystalline wax in a linseed oil. I'm just going to let this sit on the surface for about 10 minutes first before I buff it in. Okay, let's buff this in. Okay, I'll turn this round and we can start on the other side. Okay, we've turned round, all looked off again with tailstock. Now, first job's here is we want to face this off, give us a nice clean surface, then we can plan where we're going to be putting our Milliput inlay. Once we've got that plan, then we can start hollowing out and then get it ready to do the inlay itself. Alright, so let's start thinking about where we're going to have this inlay. Now we are going to be doing one inlay with the metallic Milliput, but I also want to put a very, very small inlay, very thin, bordering it with the black, just to help set it off. Something like that. Let's pen that in, see how it looks. It's a good way of breaking a pen. Yeah, there's a good tip for the day. Don't hold felt pens against this spinning wheel. So this middle one will be our metallic Milliput, and these two outer ones will be black. How does that look? I think it may need to go closer to the edge otherwise, because the inside of the rim of our bowl is going to start about there. And it doesn't give us an awful lot of room for a bowl. That's all right, I'm going to rub this off and then quickly draw these lines again. Okay, let's go at it from a different angle. Let's say if we want the end of the rim to be there. Right, that's the start of our bowl area. So Milliput between there and there. And then I'm just going to put a line in, like a pinstripe line, where we're going to have the black Milliput. That's a better balance. All right, I'll start hollowing out and then we can start on this. Okay, I'm going to be cutting the inlay with the diamond-shaped carbide. I'm just going to give it a very, very slight undercut just to stop it coming out. I mean, it generally shouldn't, because Milliput does manage to stick to wood pretty well. Okay, that went pretty smoothly. I'm just going to get a little bit of sandpaper just to make sure that there's no raggedy torn out pieces on the edge which could find their way into the Milliput. Okay, we're all ready. One of the wonderful things I love about using Milliput is that, first of all, you don't have to take your piece off the lathe in order to put it in. You can apply it to a vertical surface or a horizontal surface, it doesn't really matter. You can even put it in all around the edges. Also, we're going to be doing a black and the metallic one together, and we can do them both at the same time. We don't have to wait for one to go off before we start to apply the next one. It really is quite versatile. So I'll get this one. I'm going to do the metallic first. Okay, that should do it. And I'm going to take my left glove off to help me spin this around. Actually, I might just lock it off, because I don't want to be touching a nicely finished surface with a Milliput laden finger. As before, we're just going to compress it into the grooves. Okay, that's the metallic done. Start on the black. Here we go, all done. What we need to do now is leave this a few hours, then we can come back and turn it back. While we're waiting for that to dry, I've got these bits left over, so I thought I'd just quickly show you something. You can make interesting effects if you've got two different colour milliputs. Just roll one out. If you've got two contrasting colours, you can spile them together. When you put that into the inlay and squish it in, it looks like a rope. If you bend it over again and start rolling it together and twisting it a few more times, then you start to get a marble pattern. Really is brilliant stuff to try and use, to have fun with. So now pushed into a rim would make a beautiful inlay. Okay, right. I'm going to play around with this for a little bit longer while I'm waiting for the milliput to dry. Although I'll have to go and do other things as well because it takes about 5 hours. Okay, this has had a good few days to dry because I've been on with other projects, so we can now finally turn it back and see how it looks. That looks pretty good. Oh heck, I've managed to get a little bit of the black in with the metallic stuff. That's okay. That is such a unique look to it. I'll give it a couple more passes. I don't want to go too thin though, so I don't want to go through the bottom of the inlays we did. So I'll give it a couple more passes, see if I can just clear away any of these black little bits, and then we'll start to finish this up. Okay, I think we'll leave it there. It's a really nice effect. I love that. I shall set up for sanding. I shall let you watch a bit of it, and I shall bring you back when it's done. Okay, sanding all went beautifully. I managed to sand out the remaining bits of milliput which I'd got into the chrome, not the chrome, sorry, the metallic. So that's good. Certainly quite an interesting colour. It looks a little bit like resin with a bit of mica powder in it. You can just see little bits glistening off. I quite like it. Right, we'll let this dry, and then we'll go on with a shellac sealer and then an abrasive paste. Okay, all nice and dry. So on with the shellac sealer. The grain in this cherry really is quite something. I know you can really start to see the metallic now on this. I had no idea what to expect from it, but I really quite like it. Right, again, we'll let that dry. Okay, now on with a nice healthy amount of abrasive paste. We'll buff this in, but using eye protection or a face shield. Now I'll clean it off again with isopropyl. I suddenly remembered that I put some isopropyl in a little spray bottle. It's far more effective. Wow. That is really starting to pop. I hope it's showing on camera. Okay, that's nicely dry. So back on again with our mix of waxes, microcrystalline, carnauba and beeswax and linseed oil. Just let it sit for 20 minutes and then come back in and buff it off. Okay, let's take a look at what we've done. Well, there we go. A cherry bowl inlaid with black Milliput and the new metallic Milliput. When I was editing the material, the actual visual appearance of this doesn't really come across on camera, but it really does look phenomenal. It's so unusual. I'm glad I put the stripes down the outside. Another idea would have been to do a wider single stripe of the metallic, and when that had hardened, to cut out a channel and put a black stripe in the middle. I think that would have been just as striking. The cherry used is really quite a nice piece of wood. The two pith areas that you can see here, so it's obviously a crotch piece, and we've got this very, very strange kind of line going through, separating the kind of ripple area from the crotch piece. So I'm not quite sure how this has grown or how it got this distinctive markings, but I'm certainly glad I've had a chance to turn it. Well, there we go. The first look at the new Milliput metallic resin. If you've enjoyed this one, then I would really appreciate a like and subscribe and all the usual things, and if you could share it as well, then that would be absolutely amazing. If you do leave a comment, let me know your opinions and how you think this has come out. You will be entered into the giveaway the next time we do one. All you have to do to be entered is just, as I've always said, is just leave a comment, and you will always be in with a chance of a prize. But apart from that, thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I shall see you all next time. Thank you.